I always trusted my instincts. At 70 years old, I had spent my entire life reading people carefully. I raised my son Daniel alone after my husband passed away, and together we built a small accounting business from nothing. Daniel was honest, hard-working, and loyal to everyone around him, especially his wife, Melissa. But Melissa never fooled me. At first, she acted perfect. She smiled constantly, bought expensive gifts for family birthdays, and called me Mom every chance she got. But over the years, I started noticing little things that didn't make sense. She spent money carelessly, lied about small details, and became strangely secretive whenever Daniel asked simple questions. Then the overtime excuses started. Melissa suddenly claimed she needed to work late almost every night. Sometimes she returned home after midnight smelling like expensive perfume instead of office coffee and paperwork. Daniel believed every excuse because he trusted her completely. But I didn't. One evening, Daniel came to my house exhausted and heartbroken. He admitted Melissa barely spoke to him anymore. She ignored family dinners, missed their children's school events, and constantly kept her phone hidden. That was the moment I finally told him what I suspected. "She's cheating on you," I said quietly. Daniel looked devastated. At first he defended her, but deep down, I could see he already feared the truth. After hours of conversation, he finally agreed to let me help uncover what was really happening. The next morning, with Daniel's permission, I secretly installed a tracker on Melissa's vehicle, and what we discovered destroyed our family forever. For weeks, Daniel and I quietly tracked Melissa's nightly routine. Every evening, she left the office parking lot around 6 o'clock exactly as she claimed. But instead of staying at work, the tracker revealed something very different. Melissa drove directly to the same luxury hotel across town. The first night Daniel saw the location, he looked physically sick. He kept hoping there was some innocent explanation. Maybe she met friends there. Maybe business meetings happened inside the hotel restaurant. But the pattern repeated constantly. 3 nights a week, sometimes 4. Eventually, Daniel parked across the street from the hotel and waited inside his car. Around 7:30, he saw Melissa enter the lobby holding hands with one of her co-workers, a married regional manager named Trevor Collins. Daniel completely broke down. He sat in silence, gripping the steering wheel while tears rolled down his face. I had never seen my son cry like that before. The affair continued for months behind Daniel's back while Melissa pretended to work overtime. She lied to her children, ignored her husband, and manipulated everyone around her without guilt. When Daniel confronted her privately, Melissa denied everything at first. But after he showed her photographs and tracking records, she stopped pretending. Instead of apologizing, she became angry. "You're boring," she snapped at Daniel. "Trevor actually makes me happy." Days later, Melissa's mother arrived at our house defending her daughter completely. "She deserves happiness," the woman said coldly. "Your son was never exciting enough for her." That sentence changed everything for me. Because Melissa wasn't only betraying my son, she was hiding something much worse. While the divorce proceedings began, Daniel and I started reviewing financial records connected to our family accounting business. Melissa handled several bookkeeping responsibilities for the company, and something immediately caught my attention. Large amounts of money were missing at first. The missing funds appeared small enough to overlook several $100s here, a few thousand there. But after weeks of investigation, the numbers became impossible to ignore. Nearly $80,000 had disappeared over 3 years. Daniel initially refused to believe Melissa could steal from the business. But I continued reviewing statements carefully and discovered dozens of suspicious transfers connected to hidden accounts. Most of the money funded luxury hotel visits. expensive gifts, vacations, and secret purchases connected to Trevor. Melissa had not only betrayed my son emotionally, she had stolen from our family. Daniel looked completely shattered after seeing the evidence. The woman he loved had destroyed both his marriage and the business we spent decades building together. We immediately contacted attorneys and police investigators. Once detectives reviewed the financial records, they quickly opened a criminal embezzlement investigation. Melissa panicked when officers questioned her about missing company funds. She blamed accounting mistakes, computer errors, and eventually, even Daniel himself. But investigators already possessed bank records proving the truth. Meanwhile, Trevor's company launched its own internal investigation after learning about the affair because company policies strictly prohibited relationships involving managers and employees. Under certain conditions, Trevor faced serious consequences as well. The scandal spread rapidly through both families, and it was only getting worse. Melissa's arrest happened early on a rainy Tuesday morning. Police officers arrived at her apartment shortly after sunrise while reporters waited nearby. After hearing rumors about the embezzlement investigation, Melissa looked completely shocked as detectives placed her in handcuffs and escorted her outside. For years, she believed she could manipulate everyone around her without consequences. Now cameras captured every second of her humiliation. Trevor lost his job the same week after. Investigators confirmed he knowingly benefited from stolen money. His own marriage collapsed shortly afterward, leaving both families destroyed by the affair. Meanwhile, Melissa's mother continued blaming Daniel publicly. She claimed Melissa only cheated because Daniel worked too much and failed to appreciate her, but her attitude changed instantly once attorneys revealed another major problem. Melissa's mother had co-signed several financial agreements and personal loans connected to Melissa's hidden debts. That meant she was now legally responsible for much of the restitution owed to our business. For the first time, Melissa's mother stopped defending her daughter so loudly. The criminal case moved quickly because investigators uncovered overwhelming evidence: bank transfers, hotel receipts, deleted emails, and hidden financial records connected Melissa directly to the missing money. During court hearings, prosecutors described how Melissa carefully manipulated company finances for years while secretly funding her affair. Daniel sat quietly through every hearing while I remained beside him the entire time. Watching him suffer hurt me deeply, but I also felt relieved. The truth was finally exposed. After years of lies, Melissa could no longer escape accountability. The divorce became vicious almost immediately. Melissa demanded large financial settlements, despite the criminal charges against her. She also fought aggressively for custody of the children, claiming Daniel was emotionally unstable after discovering the affair. But the court saw through her manipulation quickly. Daniel presented evidence showing he remained the primary caregiver throughout the marriage while Melissa spent most evenings away from home. School records, witness testimony, and schedules proved the children depended heavily on their father and grandmother for stability. Meanwhile, prosecutors introduced financial evidence from the embezzlement case showing Melissa used stolen business funds for hotel visits, luxury purchases, and gifts connected to Trevor. The judge appeared disgusted by the entire situation. Melissa's credibility collapsed completely during cross-examination when attorneys exposed multiple lies about her finances and affair timeline. Eventually, the court awarded Daniel full custody of the children. Melissa received supervised visitation rights while criminal sentencing continued. When the judge announced the custody decision, Daniel quietly cried with relief beside me. For months, he feared losing both his marriage and his children. Now, despite all the pain, he finally had a chance to rebuild his life. Melissa stared silently at the courtroom floor while her mother sat behind her looking furious and exhausted. For the first time, neither of them had anything left to say. Melissa eventually accepted a plea deal connected to the embezzlement charges. The court sentenced her to 3 years in prison along with full financial restitution owed to our family business. Because Melissa's mother had co-signed several debts and financial agreements, she became responsible for repaying a significant portion of the missing money. The woman who once defended her daughter's right to happiness suddenly faced enormous financial consequences. Herself, Trevor disappeared quietly after losing both his job and marriage. Nobody from our family ever heard from him again. As for Daniel, rebuilding his confidence took time. Betrayal changes people permanently, especially when it destroys trust, family, and finances all at once. But slowly, he became stronger again. The children adjusted surprisingly well once the chaos ended. Our home finally became peaceful without constant lies, arguments, and secrets hanging over everyone. Sometimes people ask whether I regret exposing Melissa. I always answer honestly. No, protecting family does not mean protecting wrongdoing. Melissa destroyed her own life the moment she chose deception over loyalty. I simply refused to let her destroy my son's future too. Now Daniel focuses on raising his children and rebuilding the business we nearly lost. And every evening, when I watch my grandchildren laughing safely in our living room, I know we made the right choice. Some people call me ruthless for what I did, but I call it being a mother.